Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have DeeZe joining us, NFT OG, co-host of We Do a Little Pod, and director of Vibes at Tessera. DeeZe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. It's been a long time coming. Feel like we've been in adjacent circles for like 2.5 years now. So
facts, literally.
Good to finally get to sit down and talk to you.
Yeah. We know a lot of the same people. I was so excited when you said yes when I invited you on. You were actually one of the first. I swear, you're one of the first 100 people that I followed on Twitter. Like, yeah, you're pretty goated. You're pretty OG.
How did you find me? Were you just like through the Top Shot sphere?
Yeah, you were into Top Shot, huh? Yeah, I think, I think through the Top Shot sphere, and like, I mean, Andy was big into Top Shot, and it's like, I don't know, just kind of figuring out like, okay, who are the people that I need to be following? And you were like one of those people. I've always pronounced your name in my head as DeeZe, and I tell Michael this, but I know it's DeeZe, but I'm like, I always just think DeeZe. I don't know why.
Then you probably don't think of like the D's Dutch joke that everyone else thinks of, so that's good. No one really thinks like Desi nuts, I hope. So if you think of me as that, that's great. There's a lot of people who call me DeeZe. My old name used to be like DeeZe Deez. So it's like a whole thing where I get a whole bunch of pronunciations, but
okay,
I'm cool with all of it.
All right. Desi. I'll see what I call you on the pod. Okay, so Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm good. What's up? It's good to be back. You held it down yesterday for an interview that was the first ever episode I couldn't make.
Yep, a rare occurrence.
I know, ever. I mean, I've been all around the world doing these, but I had some family obligations. But I'm excited for this one. I wouldn't miss this one. DeeZe, like you said, is an OG. I've been taking in your content for a long time. I love your guys' podcast and all that good stuff. Love listening to the Twitter spaces. So it's a pleasure to chat it up.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yes. And I would love to hear how you first got into NFTs. Was it NBA Top Shot?
No, it was a mixture of CryptoPunks and Pepe memes on Rarible in September 2020. A few months before I knew what Top Shot was, I basically did kind of well over Uniswap summer, where a bunch of people were playing hot potato and musical chairs at shitcoins. And then I took some of that ETH and I went to I bought one CryptoPunk and I thought that it was going to be too much of my portfolio. And I flipped it, and then I immediately got addicted to flipping NFTs because I realized it was like trading these party hats in a game I played called RuneScape. So then I just kind of got sucked in NFTs right from there. And we can give a shout out to Trill because he's the one who told me to buy the punk. He was also telling me to buy a zombie punk, which was like 15 grand at the time. And I was like, dude, that's a lot of the money we just made. I can't do that. I just learned about risk management. I lost all my money in the 2018 cycle. So I ended up just buying that floor and not a zombie, which in hindsight, I guess was a mistake, but it was a good entry regardless.
So you were into crypto, you got into crypto first.
Yeah, in 2017, a group of daily fantasy. So it goes back to Top Shot in a way, but back in the day, before Peter Jennings and John Bales and them knew who I was just following them religiously and kind of trying to get as much DFS knowledge as I could. And I followed them for like 3 or 4 years while I was playing DFS. And then in 2017, a couple of the guys in my friend group, which no one was playing a lot of money in DFS. Like I think the most somebody might have played in our group was 5 or 10K a night. Most people were playing between $50 and $500. So it was like a smaller stakes thing. And one of the people was talking about how much money they made on Ethereum. And I was like, wait, like I'm a better DFS player than you, and you're making 10x's on this shit was this. So I bought my first Ethereum at like $400 around a little before Thanksgiving, once the DFS people were talking nonstop about how much money they were making.
Dang. So then how'd you lose it all in 2018? You said you lost it all.
Well, when you get in the space and you put money into something and it just goes straight up, and then you think you're a genius, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to like retire soon. Like this is so simple. Like, I can't believe more people aren't doing this. I'm so fucking smart. And then you hit a 20x or 30x on a shit coin. Like, I'll just give you an example from my own portfolio. I bought this token called Ryblocks under $1. And it very shortly after the exchange I bought it off of got taken down by the Italian government or some shit. Like they basically, everyone who bought Ryblocks on this site didn't get it if they held it on the site. So it was like my first real not your keys, not your coins moment. But anyway, I bought this token under like $1, and then a month later it was worth like $30. And I sold it and I bought like Ripple, but Ripple was like $2. Because I thought like, maybe Ripple will go up to $10 or something, and then I'll take this money and get a 5x. So then like I would lose 50% on Ripple, and then I would just put it all into like Tron, and I'd be like, oh, well, like Ripple's going down, like maybe Tron will go up. And then I would sell the Tron and put it into something else. And basically the TLDR is that like everything in crypto is so correlated that if Bitcoin and ETH are going down 80% over the year, then like every single shitcoin you can possibly buy is probably going to go down worse than 80%. So think like 95, 98, 99%. And through the process of me just like taking a loss and rolling it into another thing that became a loss, I basically lost all my money over 9 months.
Damn.
There's a time in November 2018 where Bitcoin was like pretty apathetic at the 6,000 price point. And after just a lot of like lack of buying at that price point, the price just dumped to like $3,500. And we're all just sitting there like, oh, we just lost like the last of the money that we had. We thought it couldn't go under 6,000. And now it's like 35. So that was a humbling lesson. And then we gave ourselves a whole crash course on personal finance, investing. I started taking like CFA free courses to learn about being like a financial advisor. So I just could learn some basic investing principles for myself. And yeah, that was kind of the journey. It was pretty humbling. And then in 2019, 2020, I spent a lot of time just learning and not trading. All I did was really buy ETH every 2 weeks and some Tezos. And then, 2020 rolled around, pandemic happened, we're working from home, and Uniswap season happens while we're working from home. And I'm just spending, I wake up at 7:30, log into my computer, and now I am I'm there till like midnight basically, and just doing that every day, trading shitcoins. So that was basically it.
So is that how you built up? Because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you've spent like thousands of ETH on NFTs over the years.
Yeah, it all stems from like, this is crazy, but I took 2 ETH from that dollar cost averaging stack, and I put that in a new wallet for Uniswap in 2020. And then like every NFT or everything you've seen me buy really just comes from that 2 ETH.
Crazy.
Badass.
So you're just the ultimate trader.
Yeah, I was really lucky. It was like just a ton of luck and being at the right place at the right time, and then like a little bit of foresight. But I mean, it was a lot of luck. Like I put myself in a position to be lucky, but it still was lucky for it all to happen.
What were you doing for your job at that point? Like, I guess, when did you go like full-time DGen, and what were you doing before that?
So I worked for the government in IT, basically just like supporting the people at the government agency that I worked at. So like internal IT, think like setting up Microsoft Exchange servers and print servers and making people's new accounts and deleting people's old accounts and like low-level system admin type stuff. But I had a lot of free time. So like I was probably only working 2 to 3 hours a day on that job. And then I was just like sitting in my office on the computer. And since we're in IT, our specific range of IP addresses had no filters because we're the ones who run the filters. So like at our job, I don't even know if I should be saying this, but like I haven't worked there for a couple of years. Like we would just have unlimited access to the internet. So like normal employees couldn't go like on gambling websites or whatever. But since we were in IT, we didn't have any filters. So we were just like, I'm on like DraftKings and FanDuel fucking around, but then also just like Discord and all these cryptocurrency exchanges. Like I would log into Binance through my like work computer, which is probably not the best plan, but that was what I was doing back then.
Hey, Yeah, because you're anonymous now. I mean, you say, okay, some people like know what you look like when you go to events and stuff, but you always kind of, I think a lot more people have doxed, but like really NFT started out like most people were just anonymous. Like nobody really felt the need to show who they were. And I feel like you're one of the people that have like remained anonymous throughout this whole time. It's like I said, a lot of people, they just kind of inevitably end up doxing. And why did you, when you first like decided to be anonymous, like why did you decide to continue being anonymous in the space?
I don't really see any upside in doxing yourself in the space. Specifically, like the way I do it, I dox to everybody I need to. Like there's probably 1,000+ people in the space who know what I look like and have met me in person and have shook my hand or give me a hug or sat down and had dinner. Originally,
that's more than the entire NFT space at this point.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's a cumulative 3 years.
Everybody. Yeah.
But anyway, at the time, I was working for the government, and if you know me, I'm pretty known for my GM pictures and posting a bunch of weed shit. And I never wanted my employers, because I could get drug tested and fired theoretically. And I got drug tested when I was hired. So there was kind of this thing of like, well, there's really no point for me like using my Twitter as me. If they ever Google my name and see me posting weed, like I'm out at lunch getting Jimmy John's smoking weed before I go back to work. Like they probably don't want to see that if they search my name. So that was kind of like the main reason I was just being DeeZe for a while. And DeeZe has just been my nickname since like growing up in school and stuff. So it's one of those things where it was just really easy for me to be like, oh, I'm going to be DeeZe. But now it's like, I'm a boring fucking white dude. Nobody cares. If I dox, it's like, oh, there's just another fucking 20 to 30-year-old white dude in the space. Like there's just something more enigmatic and exciting about being behind the punk. And I get to like, me being behind the punk is my true self. Like that there is no like, oh, I put on a DeeZe mask and I'm somebody else. Like when you meet me in person or you talk to me, I'm the same person. So yeah, I really don't see the upside in doxing. Like I'm doxed at my job. I'm a W-2 employee for Tessera. Like I'm doxed at events. I'm going to VCon. They have all my information so they could book flights and stuff. Like it's not like super locked down, but I just don't see the upside in just like throwing my face everywhere online, given I've built the brand around the punk.
Right. That makes sense. And there is a cool like mysterious like vibe, like, oh, who is it behind the PFP? Like it is kind of a cool thing. I mean, I guess I cannot relate because I was doxxed from the get. Like I came from the social media world, and on Top Shot, in Discord, everyone just had like NBA players as their picks or just like random like cartoons and stuff. And I literally had my face and my full name, and everyone's like, this girl's a Fed. Like everyone like thought I was like fake because I was just like literally a real human.
Must not be her identity, must be somebody else's.
Yeah, I think that's why I started making videos. It's like, guys, this is actually me. I'm actually a person. I am here.
You definitely see that happening.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that not being anonymous was a thing. I came on Twitter like February 2021 for the first time, and this was myself. That was the only thing I knew to put on there.
Yeah, so I made my Twitter back in when is the date? March 2010. So I was like barely in high school when I made my Twitter. And at that time, I probably had it as like dox self. And then at some point, I switched it over to DeeZe because I was gaming a lot in high school. And I was like, DeeZe was my gamer tag. So I was like, I'm going to be DeeZe. And then when I went to college, I always kept DeeZe. And then I think gaming is you make your gamer tag your handle and then you just become that. So it's like really easy to take that and be pseudo anonymous with it.
Yeah, a lot of gamers. I think that's because I'm like, how do people get their names, like their usernames? And a lot of people that come on, like, I'm like, explain the origin of your name. It's always like they used to be gamers and stuff. Like because nobody just uses their name. Like I'm John, like, and they're gaming.
No, yeah, or their name is like John Smith, 1969, and then like 0505. So they're born on May 5th, and you're just like, Jesus, like what are they doing?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
What's your pink-haired avatar you're wearing right now?
This is an Anata. So don't know the supply off the top of my head. I think it's like 2000. But it's this VTuber-esque project and they made me an honorary. So this is 50% me and then 50% Andy 8052. It takes the colors from his, I don't know if I want to use the word famous. I just use famous boy avatar, and it blends it with my punk's hoodie and glasses. And I want to say this pixelated thing is supposed to be a pipe or like a abstract version of a pixelated pipe. I'm not quite sure.
No, I like it. I was actually, for a second, I thought it was like a milady. And I was like, why would he be wearing one of those? There's all kinds of controversy.
He
I love
Michael, you missed it. He came in with a milady. And then I was like, what else do you have? Yeah, and he's filtering through them.
I switched back to it.
No, I don't think a milady's appropriate anymore, is it? Or am I mistaken?
People wearing Nike shoes say bad words. Are you going to not wear Nikes?
Well, Nikes. Oh, true. Nikes are made by slaves, so that's kind of.
Where are we going to draw the line? Like,
no doubt.
I think that's part of what makes My Ladies so quote unquote great. But we'll save that for another conversation.
What is the deal with that project? Because it's like, what is the deal from your perspective?
From my perspective, I watched it come out and it took like months to mint out and no one cared about it. And it was really weird. And then like a few people on crypto Twitter who I knew from the 2017 cycle were using them. And it was kind of like ironic or memey in the things they were saying. So I am somebody who just like likes memes. So I that was my introduction to them. And then over time, they've kind of changed. Feel like there was a lot of controversy last year around this time where somebody was pulling up, I don't even know, like 4chan threads and tweets and pictures. It's like you'd click like an 85 tweet thread and you're just like, yeah, I'm not reading this. Like if I can't get the point in like a tweet or two, I'm lost here. So there was this period of time where like everyone, I think, hated them and ostracized them. And then semi-recently, like in the last 6 months, maybe, I feel like I noticed a lot more of the crypto Twitter people going back to them, specifically Ansem or CoinZimp, and then Kobe is, I think, the big one who switched. So that being said, I think the people who hold My Ladies aren't people who hold a bunch of other NFTs. I think
it's crypto people, right?
It's crypto Twitter people. It's like the people I knew from 2017, 2018, 2019 shit posting on Twitter and Discord who use them. It's not anybody who's NFT native that I see, or like the people I guess I care about who are using My Ladies, or the signal for them are like the people who are the CT people, not the ones I like don't know. I've seen some of the controversial shit on the TL the last week. I just like shake my head.
Yeah, there was a really bad one the other night.
I saw our favorite person to beat down.
I know.
Anana, whatever the fuck is was in there. I'm just like, yeah, that's about right.
I can't believe he was in that room. Yeah, for sure.
I can totally believe he was in that room. It's just his whole life exists for engagement farming and drama. But it's a very controversial PFP. I like it for the trolly and the meme aspect, but I obviously am not trying to be divisive or cause any type of crazy, insightful shit. I'm just trying to like be kind of memey and have a good time. So yeah, maybe I have to keep my really eyes on.
Right? Isn't it up?
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I don't advise people buy them at 3 ETH.
Oh wow, it's at 3 now. How about that?
2.82.
Flip the doodles.
But you'll notice like a lot of.
Yeah,
there's a whole My Lady ecosystem, and it's really weird. Like I don't know the other projects, but there's like Remilio babies, and then there's schizo posters. Yeah. There's like Rad Bros, and I see a new one on Blur called like Pixel Lady Maker, and then I'm like, I don't know if these are all just derivatives or like, was I on an allow list and I didn't know and I missed out on a 0.7 ETH free mint? Like I'm pretty pissed. Like I just don't really know what's going on. But it kind of makes me bullish for the My Ladies when I see like 6 different derivative or type of derivatives on the Blur volume leaderboards every day. I'm like, okay, maybe there's, I don't know.
How do you keep up with all the, because you're into a lot of different collections and like I'm sure there's always claims and all this stuff happening. Like, how do you keep up with all that?
I mean, I just dumped a whole bunch of 10K TF shit because I can't keep up with it. Is the honest truth. It's like they're like, oh, there's on the third fortnight of November, there's going to be a 4-minute window, and then you're able to claim your thing. And then if you don't claim it, it's going to be locked for 8 more fortnights. And then there's another window on the lunar eclipse where if you go outside and hold your phone up and catch the eclipse, we're going to airdrop. And I'm just like, yeah,
crazy?
I can't.
Damn.
No, that's how it feels trying to keep. I have their WagMeSan account on alerts, and I still cannot keep up or understand what they're doing. So I sold like 20 ETH worth of shit just on the floor out of rage. But yeah, if your project requires me to check in on a weekly basis to see what's going on for me to get whatever utility from it, like I'm just flooring it. I'm not holding. And I think that's been my main operating procedure this year, is just like, it started with tax loss harvesting last year, where it was like, if I'm not excited when I look at this, there's no reason for me to hold it. Like I can just buy more things I'm excited about. Like I can always own more squiggles, or always own something I feel more comfortable in, and not just like, oh, I hope this PFP drops a companion that unlocks a box that gets me a fanny pack, or
right.
I don't know. I think that stuff's played out.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. There's a lot of, what is it called? Like gaming mechanics and like all this like complicated stuff.
There's a lot of future promises to get people to not dump.
Pretty much.
And most of those future promises are not realized in like any capacity. It's just like, oh, we're pivoting. Hey, we raised millions of dollars and spent all year building the thing that we realized no one wanted. So we're just not going to release it. And we're going to go back to the drawing board. And we're going to CCO the art too in the process and do all this shit. And it's like, oh, you guys really had no
moonbirds.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
you guys had no plan and you just made a bunch of money and realized you had to do something.
They made a lot of money.
And you know, there's other projects I held that didn't have quite that type of arc, but it's still a similar story with just less money and less attention.
Totally.
So that was kind of the problem. Like I'm at the point now where most of my portfolio is punks and squiggles. I think that is.
Are those your favorite NFTs, punks and squiggles?
Yeah. 50% of my NFT portfolio value, according to WGMI.io, is my punks and squiggles. And then the rest is just like miscellaneous. A lot of it's generative art and 101 art. And I don't have many PFPs at all. I think like the only things I still own are my toads, a couple clones, a ton of Forgotten Runes wizards. I mean, not a ton. I think I have 12 wizards and 30 warriors. I'm really biased with them because I'm an investor in their game, and I minted like 30 wizards and I know the team really well. So that's the one where I think I own the most with confidence.
Okay.
And then there's other things I'm just kind of following and experimenting with, like a Death Bats Club by Avenged Sevenfold, I think is interesting because they're actually using the NFTs to get like Ticketmaster priority and different. You're basically able to like cut the line, and at least how I understand it, you're able to like cut the line or get like a special window as a holder there into like concert tickets and more exclusive VIP things. So I'm kind of watching.
Death Bats, is that Avenged Sevenfold?
Yeah. So yeah. I really like Matt and Sin personally. Like they're just two good dudes. But then I like that they seem to be, at least from what I can see, one of the only quote unquote traditional groups of people trying to use the tech for what it affords to like bring their audience on board.
Yep.
They're not using the tech to like try to maybe get a new audience. They're trying to use the tech to give their existing community or audience more ownership over their experiences and to give them more access to the band. And that's a model that I think, like, if proven successful, which I think what they've done so far already will be adopted by more people. It's just not something like you buy and you're like, oh, I think my Death Bats Club is going to go to like 5 ETH. It's like, no, it's like priced affordably for a reason so that people can actually get involved.
You're exactly right. What they did with Ticketmaster, they actually worked with Ticketmaster, and it was the first time Ticketmaster did this, and they had a token gated pre-sale. So the first people that got to buy tickets for their concert, typically the VIP tickets, the ones right up front, were their holders.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean,
they also have like
exactly
a nice
what it's for.
Limited edition merch drop, and like the holders got a special vinyl option, like only their holders could get.
Cool.
And and the experience has been very seamless, which is impressive to me. Like normally you think like, oh fuck, I gotta connect a wallet and sign and do all this shit. It's like their website kind of just handles it for you, and it's like going to OpenSea or any other site. It's not like you have to do this, oh, I need to connect an email to an identity to a wallet, and now I'm going to sign in with an email address, not a wallet. Yeah. It was very, very well done. So that's kind of the projects that interest me, because they're doing something that I think provides like real value to their community and not just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We got to talk about, I think I pronounced it wrong earlier because you said it differently. Tessera.
Yeah, Tessera. So think of the word like tesseract and then get rid of the CT at the end.
I love how you knew what I was talking about when I started saying.
Yeah. Don't you use that word tesseract all the time in your daily vocabulary?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does tesseract even mean?
Tesseract. Just think of the word tesseract. Jen, just think of the word tesseract.
So we had an issue with the old name Fractional because it really shoehorned us
fractional.art.
It's good for the idea of owning fractions of something, but it's not good for expanding what collective ownership can be. And Andy and the team felt like going a more so tessera means like a small tile or small piece of like a mosaic. So it still means a fraction, but it's using a term that doesn't automatically yell at the audience like, hey, this is a fraction. So it is more like we're able to do a little more with the vaults and products than just like offer fractional ownership of something. And also we got a lot of confusion with the name Fractional because people thought our name was fractional.art. And then other people thought our name was like Fraction and then Fractal.
I definitely thought it was fractional.art.
Yeah, no, the company name is the Fractional Token Company. The product was called Fractional, but the website was fractional.art because like fractional.com and fractional.xyz and IO and whatever were already taken, but art wasn't. So that's kind of how like the name. So the fact that you thought the name was Fractional Art is like why the name sucked. Because it's like you've been following Andy and me for like 2+ years, and like the name was, and you're definitely not even funny. Like the 100th person who had that problem. You're probably like the 500th or 1,000th or more.
But at least I knew where to go to. Like, oh, just go to fractional.art. Like,
yeah,
you know. I mean, true. I remember. Actually, oh, it's so crazy. I just unlocked the memory unlock. There was a lot of people going on there and fractionalizing their like Bored Apes or punks or whatever. And Dingling did that for like a batch of his Bored Ape stuff. And he randomly messaged me a couple months ago and was like, hey, you have some ETH to claim from like being a part of my vault or whatever. And I was like, what? I like went in there. I was like, oh, sweet, free ETH. So that was just super random and funny. But so what are you guys what's the focus now, I guess, of the site? Because I'm still thinking of you guys as like the place where you can fractionalize your art. But yeah, like what are you guys kind of known for now?
Yeah, so it's still a very similar idea that we fractionalize and create vaults, but it's curated now so that instead of anyone going in and creating a vault, we have to partner with the vaulter to do the drop. So right now we've only actually done a couple punks and a squiggle, but we also started building another product called Escher, which is a aggregated platform for editions or fine art editions. But Tessera right now, we wanted to, so going back to Tessera and not Escher, we wanted to have the ability to do more like utility or cool things with the vaults that we couldn't do with the old fractional.art vaults, where we had already deployed all the contracts and had everything set up. And like, say you vaulted a Bored Ape, like you mentioned, and there's an airdrop, like there's no way to claim it to give people the value of the airdrop. But with Tessera, we're able to have these modular contracts where we can add certain things that allow us to like claim and disperse or take advantage of the utility that people get from items rather than just like, here's a valuable thing stuck in a contract until it's eventually bought out. Because the ape airdrop was like a very, very big catalyst for there to be a bunch of buyouts. Basically, Ape came out and like every single Bored Ape vault got bought out because it's like 10,000 Ape per Bored Ape. I forget what the exact number was, but it was basically like, there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of extra value in the vault that people could unlock if they bought it out. So Dingaling and the Great Sweep Vault, I think it was like
one, I think.
eight apes and eight, I could be completely
candle dogs or something.
8 dogs. And then I think it had all the serums from the apes too. Because we did work with Yuga or figure out a way to get the serums at least airdropped into people's vaults, but it was like the future vault buyer, the basically whoever wins the auction for the vault would then get, the 8 serums on top of the 8 dogs, the 8 apes. And then you have to factor in, okay, on top of those 8 serums, there's 8 ape claim coins eligible. So there's all this like hidden utility that wasn't put in there when Dingaling did it. So that's why it got bought out. And then there's a good amount of people who maybe if they're listening to this, they need to go check, but like go check the old fractional vaults. Like you might have stuff sitting there that you can get ETH for. Like that ETH is going to sit in those vaults forever until people claim them. Like there's no date where it's like, oh, all that ETH goes to fractional. It's like, no, that could be there in 50 years and you'll still have that ETH claimable.
How much ETH is it? I
think last I checked, there's over like 1,000 ETH still in old fractional vaults. I mean, we had one. So there's this zombie we had where it sold on secondary on the platform for like 1,900 ETH. So 1,900 ETH goes into this contract. Jeez. And today, of that 1,900 ETH, 54 of it is still claimable. So there's $100,000 or so of ETH just sitting there from that one vault that people haven't claimed. And looks like somebody claimed 90 days ago. But yeah, there's people who don't realize it's there. And then they come back and they realize like, oh shit, I got free money basically.
Yeah. So if people go to
so if they go to fractional.art, it's kind of confusing. Yeah. Fractional.art still is alive and well as the old platform. We just are not doing anything to really upgrade it. We maintain the front end and people can interact with all of the vaults on the back end too. But there's no what's it called?
So guys, go to fractional.art, connect your wallet and see if you have any ETH to claim, because
if you vaguely remember fucking around on Party Bid in the summer or the winter of 2021, you probably have, especially if you bought anything with an A, Punk or whatnot, you probably have a decent amount of ETH. Or I mean, it depends on how much you put in, but you probably have something there. There's definitely people who are just chilling.
So then, so you're director of vibes, which I feel like that was the first time I heard someone's title be that. And now it's like everyone like drag guys, like director of vibes, like, but what does that mean? Like, what is the director of vibes? Like, what do you do as director of vibes?
Yeah, so I had never heard of director of vibes until I was talking to the team and we came up with it. So like, I don't want to take credit for it.
Oh, you guys invented it? What the heck?
I don't know who else.
It's fine. We'll give you the credit.
Yeah. So basically at the time there was a community manager position that was open. And I talked to Andy and I talked to the other co-founder, Nate, and it's like, yeah, I'm definitely down to do this, but like, I think I could do more. And it might not be under the community manager title. Like I just feel like a community manager, people look at that and they're like, oh, that's someone who is on like Discord and Twitter all day, taking care of the customers. And I had at the time less than 10,000 followers. So I was still kind of like making a name for myself when I joined the team. But I had some good relationships with some bigger collectors in the space, particularly the people in Punks and Art Blocks. And we were going to be maybe leveraging some of those relationships to get some early vaults and stuff. And then I really thought like I'm also helping with the product. Like I'm giving a lot of feedback as a user or like a power user who would use it. And, I'm helping internally vibe checking things literally. Like, is this a good feature? Or maybe even should we hire this person on the team? So it's just kind of this like all encompassing role that didn't feel like community manager would fully explain it. So we kind of came up with like, why don't we just do director of vibes? Like, can we do that? So that was kind of how it happened. So yeah, I would say like the director of vibes is a community manager on steroids or a community manager who has a lot more of like a generalist vibe where they're able to just do more than oh, I set up the Discord and I respond to people on Twitter, but it's like, no, you maybe help brand partnerships or curator partnerships or investor relations or, you know, internal vibe checking of product and user testing and feedback. And it's like a lot more than just, hey, I'm making sure the Discord and Twitter is good. So that's kind of where it came up from. And then I don't know what the other director of vibes do. Like I see it a lot, but I have no idea if they're like day to day is like mine.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure everyone's kind of does different things, but I also kind of think of director of vibes as like kind of like the person that has a lot of connections. And, you know, because I think that's super important in Web3, like hiring people that know a lot of people in the space and like have a lot of connections. Because it's like, that's how you can really get things done if you know more people. So I kind of think of that. I think of like the person that knows everyone and like, I guess community too and stuff. But I actually have a funny story about you, which we talked about VCon briefly or I think maybe it was before we started recording. But anyway, you went to VCon last year. I went to VCon last year. And so you're anonymous, right? And I have no idea what you look like. And the person that I went with was like, basically there was this guy. Okay, what's his name? Like Spencer. I think his name is like Spencer.
Sneaker Dad, maybe.
I don't know.
Dad?
It's
another Spencer. Spencer Gordon Sand. I know a few Spencers.
SGS and one is their Twitter
that's
handle.
Spencer Gordon. Yeah.
Okay.
The fencer. Fencer Spencer.
So basically we thought he was you because he was wearing like
Killer Acid.
Oh shoot, what's it? Killer Acid. Yeah.
No, I remember. Yeah.
Wait, what? You remember?
No. I remember what he was wearing because I was also wearing Killer Acid.
Okay,
we have a similar voice.
Yes. So we were like convinced. We're like, oh my god, that's DeeZe, that's him. And we like go up and we're like, hey, we're trying to be all cool, like, oh yeah, we know who you are, like, but not be like, hey, are you DeeZe? Like we were just like, yo, what's up, man? Like, and then we run into him multiple times, and he's just like cool with us. Like he's just like, I don't know, he's just like, oh, these people know me. And then eventually we find out that was not you, and that was this Spencer guy. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like just thinking that was you this whole time. But you did dox to me right before this. Now I know what to look for. Now I know who to look for at VCon. I guess unless you're wearing your mask and everything, but
yeah, the next VCon. So what I did last year at VCon, I don't know if I'll do it again this year because it's not as crazy. But last year I brought a full change of clothes and I had like a full gray Lululemon jumpsuit basically. And I wore that around all day. And then when it was time to talk, I pulled out the Killer Acid sweatpants and hoodie, the mask, the glasses, went on stage, got profusely sweaty in this like 100% polyester Killer Acid outfit. And then I walked right in the bathroom, put on the Lulu again and walked out and was just like back in the crowd of people that were just trying to talk to me, get a picture with me. But then I was just back as me and no one knew. And I just didn't talk.
Dang,
like I just like looked
that's
around
crazy. And you're just like, and nobody is like knows that that's you. But you are very well, like, obviously people don't know your face, but you are very well known. Like everyone knows you on Twitter and stuff. So
people know my voice. That's kind of the
in your voice,
scary thing.
Yes,
there's a lot of people who've come up to me because they've heard me talking to somebody in person, and they're like, "You're DeeZe, right? Like I can tell by your voice." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
So funny.
And they're like, "Yeah, I listen to you on Spaces."
You'd be like, "Nah, I'm O'Shiny. I'm O'Shiny."
They're like, they've listened to me on Spaces enough that they know I can't hide. But that's always humbling. Like it's crazy that I always find it crazy that people just listen to me. Period. Like I always say I'm like this like 60 IQ village idiot, and the fact that people want to talk to me or get my opinion.
Come on, you gotta give yourself some more credit because like you really have built up a name for yourself in the space, and you used to do Spaces all the time. You kind of stopped doing Spaces though, right? Like
they started feeling like not genuine, right? Like I'm a very authentic person who likes to do things when they feel right, and I don't like to force things. And there got to be a point with the Spaces where it just felt like maybe I was being used, or maybe I was being misled by people with ulterior motives to either bring them on to promote things that I didn't think they should promote, or I didn't want to promote, or There's just like awkward things that would come up. And then it became a thing where like everyone would try to come to me to get me to host the space before they launch something.
When they were launching, yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, I never do paid spaces. I'm not that guy. I don't want to. There was a few people who we did talk to when they launched because I liked them from Twitter. Like back in the summer of 2021, we talked to the Forgotten Runes team. I had known them for a while. We talked to DGens, which is OSF and Mando's Mint, which for a while like looked like it maybe could be a rug, but then they just completely crushed it and brought it back. And then there were definitely projects that I talked to like Goblin Goons where they just rugged. So it was like, all right, I don't want to like just talk to people who could rug. This isn't
right.
Yeah, I bought about 100 Goblin Goons because they were on your show, literally just because of you. I invested way more than I really could afford.
Man.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Yeah, dude, I'm sorry.
No,
It's
you're
one of those
lying.
things where,
Michael's
like,
lying.
I'm definitely lying. I'm
like,
lying.
wait a minute. Yeah,
Okay,
I can tell he's
Goblin
lying.
Goons. I didn't know what Goblin Goons were. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I mean,
I'm just messing with you.
there are just a lot of people who don't take responsibility for their own actions, in my opinion, who
Yeah, that's
then
true.
come after you after
Yeah, of
whatever
course,
you
of
said
course.
didn't go
Yeah,
right, and then they blame you. And it's like, well, no, you're the one who like hit the button and signed the transaction. Like I was not in your house with a gun to your head.
Buy this
you,
right now.
If you don't click the ledger button and enter your PIN and confirm this, I'm pulling the trigger. Like that's not what happened at all. But people will make it seem like that's what happened. And then the most annoying thing is the people who never let it live you. Like they bring it up every week or every month, or like they're in your
What
replies.
about Goblin Goons?
The amount of shit I got for losing $100,000 on frenzies and being told that I got paid to shill it is just absurd. It's like there's still a couple people who once a week or 2 weeks they're like, whatever happened to fucking frenzies, you loser? And I'm like, I don't know. My tax bill says I lost $100,000 on them. That's what happened. I'm sorry. Like, but that's the least. That's the most annoying part about like trying to share information or trying to, give a space for people to talk about what they're doing is the people who don't take responsibility for their own actions and then just come after you like it was on you.
Yeah, we've talked about that recently. Who are we talking about that with? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we went through that a little bit, and probably not to the scale that you did, but there were lots of projects that we talked about that we loved and we were into, and they didn't turn out great in the end. A lot of them went up and up and up, and then they're just, it is what it is at this point. It's definitely,
There's something to be said. Like a lot of these projects, even though they've gone down, like they're not rugs. Like there's certain projects I have, I'll just say one of them, like Wicked Craniums. Like they're 0.0174 ETH right now. Like they're essentially dead. But there's still people in their Discord. There's still their team showing up every day. They still have a community of people who like each other and get along. Like they still go to NFT NYC and do shit. And there's a lot of projects that are under 0.05, like Robotos and fucking Sup Ducks. And I mean, even fucking Cool Cats are like 0.6 now or 0.7. They're basically on their way. They're on their way down there too. And it's just like,
they're 0.8, but
these are
I just checked.
These are still real communities.
It's true. Yeah.
That are still doing things. And it's like, if the price goes or trends towards zero, was that community a failure? Like I would argue that no, it wasn't. Like maybe the token going down isn't the ultimate determination of is the project a success or not. Like going back to Death Bats Club, I don't think the floor has ever been over 0.25 ETH, but I also look at it as one of the most successful projects that have done what they said they were going to do and provided to their community. So it's this really weird, like double standard we have where we just, if the price is up, it's doing well, it's a good project. And if the price is down, it's not successful. And I think that's doing an unfair disservice to some of the projects where like, if you take the total amount of PFPs there are, there's 5+ million probably. Like if you take 10,000 profile pictures and you're like, all right, 10,000 profile pictures means that's a 5 million supply of profile pictures. There's like 5,000 people in this fucking community. Like, okay, maybe 25,000. So there's just no adoption for all of these fucking profile pictures, but it doesn't mean that they failed. In the sense that the price is down. It's like they still brought people together. They still onboarded people. A lot of people who've made friends in those communities are still close to their friends. It's like, I don't think it's just because the price is down so much, I don't think it isn't as entirely bleak as people make it seem. Yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
I have a Wicked Cranium still, by the way. I just checked. I haven't checked.
I have like 14 of them still.
Nice.
I tax loss hard harvested most of them, but there's some like I minted that I'm like attached to. I'm like, oh, it's still a double pilot with like fumes coming out of its mouth. Like, I can't floor that. Like, and part of me just, it's like looking at your toys when you were a kid and you're like looking at this beat up fucking Bulbasaur that you probably threw in a blender and like down 6 flights of stairs. And like, that's the same way I look at this Wicked Cranium I minted that I never sold. It's like, gives me this sense of nostalgia. I'm like, oh, I'm back in the summer. It's 2021. Life is good. I don't realize how good we all have it and that like shit's about to blow up. It's just like, oh, look at this toy.
Were you minting all that stuff like the Pirate Treasure Booty Club and
I wasn't
all that like
degenning into stuff too crazy. I mean, I'm looking through my wallet right now, and there's definitely like a lot of garbage.
Misfit University.
Yeah, I mean, I was more someone hitting not Misfits, but I was hitting like the punk derivatives, like Larva Chads, Larva Karens, like fucking CryptoPunk Toads, whatever crossover shit people were doing. I was like buying that, and then I just have a bunch of garbage. Honestly, I'm looking through, but I have a bunch of stuff that makes me smile still. Like I'm into the 150 crypto tit badges, which are like female dick butts, and
I remember them.
I love those. I still have 100 of them. Like they still make me smile. Then there's other things I look at, like, you know, I regret not selling. I guess I won't. I'm looking at a couple in my wallet, but like stuff like the Robotos and Subducks, and you're just like, man, these Robotos are like over an ETH or 1.5, 2 ETH, and now it's like free. Maybe I should have sold more of those. It reminds me that like when you're holding a PFP or you're holding PFPs, you probably don't need to keep more PFPs than you would use on Twitter. Like if it's not something that you would use as your profile picture on Twitter, probably not something you need to keep in your wallet. That's kind of been my lesson here. I would still use my Forgotten Runes Wizard. I'd still use my Toad, but there's not much else in this trash heap that I would excitedly throw off. My hash masks, those are a good story.
Oh my gosh, that's a throwback.
Yeah, I still got a couple of those. There's just so much. Like you don't know though. Like at the time, like bonsai trees.
Oh wow!
I did bonsai trees. Yep.
And I still have a dozen of them. Like I should just accept the blur bid and take the 0.12 ETH and pay half of it in gas and just call it a day. But something about like, oh, I can put it in my on-cyber gallery as like a 3D model.
I know. Everything that was being released, we thought was going to be like this amazing. Yeah.
I have utility here still that I can get. Like,
don't forget about your water token.
I have tokens going on.
Oh yeah, that was their that was the big thing. They were going to be airdropping water token. I think you have to go claim it. You probably have like 1 million water token to claim.
Probably. Oh, that was like a thing with Alien Friends, which is another one of these projects where I still like the community and the team and the people. It's just worth 0.1 ETH when it used to be worth like a 4 ETH floor. But they accumulate friend coin, and there's a whole friend shop where you get to just buy like hoodies and hats, and you can even buy art made by other people in the community. But it's all with the friend token, and like I kind of like that,
get
like
for free. That's
that
cool.
You just get for holding. And I like that type of stuff because there's no pressure on me to like hit a date, right? Like I know the friend coin is just accumulating indefinitely, and I don't need to like check up every week and claim it and keep up with it. It's just like, no, I could literally forget about it for a year and come back to a bunch of friend coin, which is what I did essentially. It's like I learned in December, January that I was accumulating coins for like 9 months, and I was like, oh shit, like I can get something from the store. And
so the NFT went from 10,000 down to 150, but you got a free hoodie.
Yeah, I mean that's still a better return than the Moonbird fanny pack.
Yeah,
a Moonbird fanny pack, people are paying 40 ETH for a floor when that was over $100,000.
I know. That's the second Moonbird.
And then shortly after, they're like, "Oh yeah, like
the Moonbirds." I know, right? That was yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
I know we shout out Moonbirds a lot this podcast. I just want to give a shout out to Stevie in particular, who is an all-star working on the Moonbirds team. I really like her. I think she's doing the best she can do in a community full of a variety of expectations. Like I definitely like people working for Moonbirds, like Eli, involved with Approved Grails and stuff. Like I have a lot of respect for what they're doing and what they're building. I don't want them to listen to this and think I'm just shitting on everything going on at Moonbirds. I'm just shitting on the
Kevin Rose.
Specifically, I'm shitting on the leadership and the lack of vision and nothing else. So let me just put that out there, because I have friends on the Moonbirds team. I don't want them to hear the sound clip of me just bashing whatever.
Andy, we need to make audiograms of these just shitting on the entire Moonbirds
just a
team.
Highlight montage.
Yeah,
of like,
exactly. That's all we're gonna put out. But we're gonna chop it up so it doesn't say the nice.
It's just
thing.
a 45-second clip of me saying "fuck Moonbirds."
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, I think like that gets lost in the Twitterverse. I say a lot of fun trolly stuff on my timeline. People who know me know I'm not the most serious person. They know that 90% of what I say is a joke. So I think that's something that's lost through text if you don't know me. So yeah, I'll just mention that.
Disclaimer.
If you think what I tweeted is ironic or a joke, it definitely is. It's not me being serious.
So, one thing we talked about, kind of how we got into the space we're in right now. We talked about how there's very few people left. I want to know how you think we get out of it. What does the future look like? What does the next few years look like for Web3, for NFTs, the big brands coming in, the big companies taking over, or what do you think?
That's a tough question. I try to pull parallels from my experience in the last bear market. And in the last bear market, price went down a lot more than price has gone down this market. ETH and Bitcoin price has not gone down the levels of the last bear market. And I think, the thing that makes me most bullish this time around is how many people are still building either products or creating art or podcasts or content, whatever. It's like there's a lot of people who are still here actually trying to contribute. Whereas last time it felt like when you boot up the Call of Duty 4 lobby and it's just like, there's 50,000 people here and now it's a wasteland. It's like that type of vibe. And it's not like that this time. Like, yeah, there's less collectors and buyers, but every day I'm still having conversations with people who are super motivated about the underlying affordances the tech gives them, specifically related to like digital art, the ability to sell digital art, and then the ability to have provenance that is not able to be faked or, replicated or forged. Like those underlying use cases, I think, are more than we had in 2018 and get people excited. Like even if the price of ETH goes between $1,000 and $3,000 for the next 5 years, there's a world where we still have this digital art market that continues to grow a bit. Granted, we don't go to zero. I guess I don't think that's going to happen. I have bet my net worth that it won't happen. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm a lot more confident. Like in 2018, 2019, dude, I was so depressed. I was like, man, I'm just going to like dollar cost average and play video games again and just hope this works out. Like I didn't really, there wasn't a plan of like, oh, I saw the crypto kitties and the punks and like there's going to be adoption there. It was more like, I just think human greed and fear isn't going to go away and people are going to want to gamble in a decentralized casino, and ETH is that casino. So I'm just going to buy some ETH. And that's similar to now. Like, even if you get rid of NFTs completely, like still think people are going to want to play at the decentralized casino, and that decentralized casino requires gas fees. And then you can take that casino token and stake it and get more casino tokens. And like, that's a pretty to me interesting piece of technology that, given how greedy and fearful humans can get, I think will continue to be used. And I think we'll see more cycles where ETH goes past its previous all-time high and Bitcoin goes past its previous all-time high, and then it crashes again, and then it happens again. Like, I don't think it will maybe happen forever for the rest of my life, but I don't think that this was the last one either. I think the bear case is that like We've had every influencer, every hype beast, every celebrity who would take bribes come in already in the last cycle. And it's kind of hard to imagine, like, how do we get bigger than that? Like if Kim Kardashian is shilling Ethereum Max and some very big celebrities are buying punks and apes, or maybe not buying them, but getting them from MoonPay for free or a discount. I don't know what that looks like next time to bring on 10x more users. I think that's the bear case of like, oh, well, we like hit our total addressable market in 2021 and we won't have a total addressable market that size ever again. But I think that's incorrect due to just the way Ethereum works, the way the casino works, the way the ETH is burned on transactions and all that shit. So yeah, kind of a long-winded answer to say I don't know, but I'm betting that over the next 5 years, the price of ETH goes up, and the people who care about the digital native Vevlin goods like punks and squiggles goes up as well, which is why 50% of my portfolio of NFTs is in the punks and squiggles. It's like and there's part of me who's bearish on punks. Like I'm actually, if people are listening to this, they'll probably see I have 2 of my 4 punks listed, and it's part of me thinks, maybe the Yuga acquisition is just completely tainted them. They don't feel like this non-corporate free thing anymore. They feel like this acquisition by a unicorn that, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complex feelings that I think punk owners have towards their punks now that Yuga acquired them that they did not have when Larva Labs was the steward.
Wow.
So yeah, that being said, the thing I'm most confident on is my squiggles. I don't have any squiggles listed. I've spent so much time with Snowfro and just absolutely love every bit of that. Like the way that he thinks, the way he acts, the way he goes about his business in the space, like nothing but good things to say about Snowfro. And if I was going to bet on any person with size, he's the one I'm betting on.
Okay, we see you. Yeah, Snowfro is a very happy person. He's always like excited and everything too.
Yeah, the only thing that I wanted to say, so I'm kind of a Gen X. I'm a little bit older than you, and every time you post all those rigs with the beautiful butter and the shatter, whatever it is, I'm very jealous. So next time you're like in Miami or we're at one of these conferences, I need to meet up. You got to show me the way with like I just smoke big fat joints and a bowl or whatever.
So yeah, we'll get you set up straight.
Yeah. I need a taste of some of that.
You can find me now. I normally have 2 different setups at events now. I have that portable Puffco thing that looks like a RGB dildo in a way. And then I have this other fucking, I just buy a torch and a rig every time I land.
When you go somewhere, wow.
Yeah, nice. It's like a $200 expense. You're probably going to smoke over $1,500 worth of weed over a 7-day period.
Of course, at least.
Why not spend $200 on a torch and a cheap rig to make that experience better? But the torch and the rig, like for you, the torch and the rig is never something I have people try for their first dab. No,
I've dabbed before. Okay. Just not very often. I don't have my own. I can handle it. Trust me.
I've had so many people come up to me who have had a bad dabbing experience, who are like deathly afraid and they like to fall down.
Again. I know. No, don't worry about.
Oh, my buddy lit it up to probably fucking 900 degrees and then threw too big of a dab in there. I just coughed for 15 minutes and then I woke up 6 hours later and I didn't know what happened. And I'm like, no. like. I have to overcome that with like, hey, I'm going to give you a tiny amount at a very low temperature, and you can take as small of a hit of that as you like. And it should be pretty tasty. And there shouldn't even be that much like smoke. It's just going to be like terpy vapor. And if you can get them to take that first hit, they love it. But it's like trying to break through that bad experience.
You said you're coming to VCon.
Yes, I will be there.
We got to connect for that. I want a nice taste, and we're gonna and I'll have some stuff of my own to share. But
so the last time we were at VCon, they had this hotel where everyone was at, and we were down in the lobby of the hotel till like 4 a.m. smoking the Puffco, like in the lobby of the hotel, blowing it up the fireplace. It was just like a whole vibe. I don't know if we'll be doing the same thing this VCon, but I'll definitely plan to stay around the hotel because I learned last VCon, but assuming this one's the same, everybody is in the same hotel
they booked all the speakers at the same hotel.
So that like everybody coming and going is probably for VCon. And it allowed me to meet like Beeple at 2 a.m. and a few other interesting people who like I would have never ran into.
That's the alpha right there. Find out the speaker hotel.
Yeah, and just chill at the hotel lobby. Yeah. And like
I was sleeping. I was actually looking down like, oh my God, there's a lot of people there. I'm not gonna go out. A lot of people. I was running into a lot of people too though at that. Wait, I'm curious. What percentage of your day are you just like stoned? Like, are you just stoned 24/7? Because you seriously post about smoking weed so much. I'm like, is he ever sober? Like, is he ever
I mean, I'm sober for this. I haven't smoked all day.
Are you? Wow.
Yeah. So
okay.
basically,
that's more than I can. That's better than I can say.
There was a time, for sure. There was a time where I was smoking probably like a 0.1 gram dab within 30 minutes of waking up for 6 months. And then it kind of coincided with the start of the bear market. Like at my peak, I was probably spending close to $4,000 or $5,000 a month on weed. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I mean, it's fine. I can do it. But like, is there a point? And then I got to the point where like I stepped back and I was like, where am I drawing the line here with this degeneracy? And where I drew the line was like, I won't smoke now unless I have a 2-hour gap in the middle of the day that I'm going to take a Lindy walk on. So like think meetings end at noon and you don't have another meeting till like 2-3 o'clock. I'll smoke at noon and go on a walk and come back. Or after my last meeting. So like this is quote unquote in my calendar a meeting. So after this, I will probably smoke and go eat lunch. Dinner. It's about 4:50. But yeah, I've been a lot more.
Okay, so you're on the East Coast.
Yeah, I've been a lot more intentful. I mean, I'm in Ohio, but it's the Midwest, but it like is on Eastern time. But yeah, I've been a lot more intentful about my weed use, and that's cut back like, I don't know, 50% plus of how much I smoke, just because it's like, is it really fun getting like super stoned before you're going to host fucking like James Jean the first time you talk to him? It's like, you're probably giving yourself like more anxiety and paranoia than you need.
Right.
And then I realized, so I have to keep going on this, but during season 1 of the We Do a Little Pod, I took 10 days off weed completely. And we filmed every episode of the pod, me being completely sober. I mean, 2 of the days I was hungover, but I was not high. So it's like a different, I guess. But to me, it was sober. And the conversations felt better. Like I was snappier. I was able to juggle more than like 2 thoughts in my head at once. I was able to kind of circle back to interesting points that might have been brought up like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes ago, rather than just like sitting here stoned thinking about one thing. Oh, there's another interesting thing. Okay, lose the first interesting thing. Now I'm thinking about the second thing. Kind of how my brain works. I can only really hold like 2 interesting things in tandem in my head while I'm stoned. And that's hard sometimes. Normally it's 1. So there's this, like anybody who's like, DeeZe is successful because he smokes weed. It's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. Like I would be more successful if I probably didn't smoke as much weed. I definitely would have sold more NFTs in the bull run and like had hundreds of thousands more dollars today. But I was just like stoned and apathetic and just like, oh yeah, we're in just up only mode. Like I'm just gonna fucking eat mushrooms and buy the first thing I see on OpenSea that looks good. Oh hey, I just traded a mutant ape for an alien friend. Like like shit like that. Like I just realized like a lot of these decisions I was making were objectively fucking horrible. And maybe being stoned all the time wasn't helping. So if you've seen my profile lately, you'll notice I've cut back on the GMs. There's not like a picture of a dab rig set up at noon and or 9 o'clock. And that's just because I realized like I need to be better. I won't ever completely cut it out. Like I feel like it does make me a better person. I'm a lot less judgmental and harsh and like I'm more kind and caring and empathetic when I'm high than when I'm sober. And it does do some other things for me. Like it helps me be a little bit more present when I'm out in nature. And my mind, like I'm not able to hold all the shit in my head at once. So it's like freeing, it's liberating. It's like, oh, I'm able to just like hit pause on all that shit. But then normally what happens when you're not stoned or maybe you're meditating or something, all that shit just bubbles back up and you're like, fuck, I got to deal with this. If I don't, it's just going to be repressed and come back even stronger. So yeah, that's kind of my weed outlook now. And I'm really into high-end rosin. This is like, essentially they take the weed plant and they put it in a type of like ice bath or agitator. And then they have these filters that are catching all of the THC, the trichomes and shit. Then they're getting that like powder and pressing it with a fucking hydraulic press into rosin. So it's this whole process, but you're basically getting like only the taste and the high part of the plant and nothing else. So
interesting.
Yeah, kind of a long-winded rant, but
I like that you're self-aware about the pros and cons, because I feel like a lot of people that smoke weed a lot are like acting as if there's no cons to it.
They're
like
fucking lying to themselves.
It's like,
because
really, like you're telling me you're not more productive when you're sober. Like, come on, let's be
you're
real.
so full of shit.
Yeah,
it's like you've just told yourself that 100 million times that you can justify your behavior to yourself. It's not true.
Right.
And I think, going back to drugs, using a good bit of mushrooms in 2021 made me a lot more introspective and aware of myself and able to objectively look at myself and not maybe resent or hate or feel anger at my actions, but also allow me to like correct them and realize that like, just because I was doing things a certain way doesn't mean like tomorrow or today I need to do things the same way. And it's always okay to try something else.
I like mushrooms. Mushrooms are always like, oh, you're about to have some life-changing experience. I mean, I guess it depends how often you take them, but like I don't do it that. Yeah, how much you take.
They're a very interesting drug because of like how different the dosing impacts the experience. Like you can take a 1/4 gram of mushrooms and have a pretty normal day and maybe feel your sweat on your body a little more, or maybe be a little more in tune to nature, maybe just have like more amplified feelings, both physically and emotionally, but not like seeing straight lines start to curve or seeing colors start to shift.
The trees talking to you.
Yeah. And then you go all the way up to like 3.5 grams, which is, I don't know, 20x more than 0.25 grams. And like you're melting into the fabric of the universe and like rainbows are everywhere. And you feel like your body's decomposing. And like for me, I felt like I died. And then I came back to life. God. And then I had this whole newfound appreciation for life because I realized that this is it. Like you really, if you if you experience ego death through mushrooms, you basically experience what people on their deathbed experience, where like their life flashes before their eyes in a sense. And you're able to like see what matters and what doesn't matter. And then you like come back out of that reality, or that, I guess not reality, it is real, but you come out of that reality into like reality or real reality. And then you're like, whoa, like I'm alive. Like I'm not even 30 years old. Like both my legs fucking work. Like I can jump. Like I'm a fucking human being. And like, I have a whole life to look forward to. And for me, I was going through some depressing moments and not really knowing how to deal with it. And the mushroom trip really helped. And then I started abusing mushrooms. Like I abused weed. So that's another good story. I basically for like 5 days straight was tripping my balls off. And then by the end of the 5th day, I thought I was trapped in like a "this is fine" meme, but God. I was looking at my fireplace and it was on fire. And I told my wife to move the gun in our house because I thought I was going to shoot myself to get out of the dream. Because I didn't know what was real and what wasn't real. And I thought I was like in Inception and like couldn't find a totem. So I thought it was a really fucked up experience. So ever since then, I feel like I'm hypersensitive to mushroom use and I don't use them nearly as much other than like the microdoses. Or I guess when I say microdose, people need to specify when they talk about mushrooms, the dosage. I won't take more than 1 gram of mushrooms in any circumstance right now, unless it is 100% intentional. I'm at my home with music set up, with food, fruit ready, and I'm trying to get somewhere introspectively. It's kind of how I define it, where it is under 1 gram, I can function at an event barely, or at a, say, like a concert or something. So I think that's just important to say.
Man, we're having a whole drug segment here. Just drug segment of the pod.
A lot of talks with me like come back to mushrooms and weed. It's just an integral part of my life. And I think I talk about them so much on the timeline too. People like to talk about them with me.
It's fun talking about shroom experiences in particular, because I feel like everyone had like, it's just, there's, I guess, just a big variety of what you can experience. And like, but I don't know, there's something about like being able to tap into a different perspective that I think people really like shrooms.
Yeah, it rewires your brain, literally.
Yeah.
But I must say, like, I don't condone anybody doing any illegal activities, consult with medical professionals.
I feel like everyone should try shrooms at least once. Like, I do feel like I literally recommend it to people. I'm like, you should try shrooms at least once. Like, that's the one drug that you should try. Like that. I literally say that to people. Wait, is that illegal to say that? I hope not.
No, it's not. No,
okay,
they're getting more and more legal too. Like, there's so much research happening where people are realizing that with, like, instead of fucking giving people SSRIs and shit, like maybe we just have a mushroom trip and like reset the brain chemistry naturally instead of blocking serotonin. I don't know.
In about 50 years, our government will start to come around.
Well, we're seeing like, big shout out.
Yeah, there's a little bit of decriminalization of mushrooms, a little bit.
Yeah, it's happening a lot in Canada. I think Canada's pretty loose with it. I was talking to Fungi, our friend Fungible, about some of the offerings they have up there. And it's like, you can go into a shop and just buy mushroom chocolate. Like, you don't need a medical card or anything.
Wow.
So I do think as more people haven't, and that's why I share my experiences so much, because like I haven't had a drug change my mental perspective ever. Like I did on that mushroom trip of 3.5 grams. That was just like a perspective shattering trip where I realized that, I was looking at my life like I was trapped in a box, and that really there was no box. And I'm just a person, and there's no like, oh, I need to do this because this is the way it's been told to me or always been done. It's like, no, I can just be me and it'll work out. And I can look forward to being me and not like scared of being me, which was something that goes back to me having DeeZe and not using my real name a lot, is because like I was able to be myself through DeeZe, but I wasn't able to be myself through my name at my old job. Just kind of weird to say, but
because you work for the government, that's so that's
it's not even like it was like because it was a government job. It's just like there's jobs where you work with maybe sensitive data or stuff, and you get drug tested because like that's it.
Yeah. Okay, I guess should we move on to the rapid fire?
No, this was great. DeeZe, it was an awesome conversation. It was really nice to meet you. Keep doing awesome stuff in the space. And I love your podcast too, so I'm gonna keep checking it out.
Oh, thank you, man.
We'll just do like 5 rapid fire. Oh, sorry, DeeZe, you can
No, go for it. No.
Okay. All right. Okay. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
First thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I normally go to the bathroom. I go into the bathroom area and then I go make breakfast.
Okay. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
If you could only hold on to one NFT, which one would it be?
Probably Punk 465, the 3D hoodie pipe.
Hey,
if not, it would be the Hyper Rainbow Squiggle. It's really close. I think because I have my identity as the punk, I have to say that. But if I didn't own any punks, it would be that Rainbow Squiggle.
Okay, I guess we'll leave it at that.
Indica or sativa?
Oh,
that's a good one. I guess I probably prefer sativa, but I think as I get more into weed, I realize that indica and sativa is kind of a shitty label, and that certain strains just make me feel completely different than other strains. So like it seems like a lot of my favorite strains are more likely to be sativa, and they normally have either a lot of lemon terps or tangerine terps. But I've had like a strain, the strain that comes to mind that really fucked me up. Like, I don't know if it was just the batch I had or what, but I had this strain of Purple Rain, and I took a normal size dab for me, and like I couldn't even stand for like 15 minutes. I just went and laid down. And I was just like, holy shit, like I've never smoked a strain like this Purple Rain. I actually have like a 1/4 gram of it in my freezer that I'm just saving for
your freezer.
Yeah, so I keep a freezer of rosin. I mean, it's just in my freezer, but at any given time, you know, I probably have 3 to 5 different strains. And just I like to have a variety. Like certain strains I like during the day. I smoke a lot of this one strain called Lightspeed. And it's just like it makes me feel good. And
does your wife smoke too? She probably
no, she actually doesn't really smoke at all.
What?
When we started dating, she hated weed, and I didn't smoke weed. And then
yeah, how the heck do you date someone that's
yeah, right?
Oh wait, you didn't like weed in the beginning?
No, like
I
didn't smoke weed every day. Like that feels so weird to say smoke weed every day. I didn't smoke every day. I didn't smoke much at all when I met her. And I started smoking like 9 months after we met because I started working a job where I had to wake up at 11 p.m. and go to work until 7 a.m. So I was smoking weed at like 3 p.m. so I could go to sleep because I had no other way of like getting tired. And then eventually it was like, oh, it's 8 a.m. and I'm back from work. Like, why don't I just smoke some weed? Like, I'm going to go to class anyways. And then the next thing you know, you're just smoking all the time. And yeah, not to go back down the drug rabbit hole, but that
I know. Oh my gosh, shit, we're supposed to wrap this up. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, DeeZe, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been really fun. Very, I don't know. I feel like we really got into a lot of different topics, and yeah, I appreciate you for taking the time to hop on here and chat with us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, hopefully everyone who listened to this enjoyed this episode, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.